Hello. It is the last Sunday in the month of April, and we are delighted to serve you with another interesting package of the news program, the Sunday News Watch. We shall set sail in with the first segment, which encapsulates news around the globe, beginning from the home front, Nigeria. Just as the Christian faithful round off the 40-day fast, which culminated in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the Muslim faithful are now in the last 10 days of the holy month of Ramadan. It is always a special period during which faithful engage in special prayer session referred to as Laylatul Qadr. This automatically will round off the 30-day Ramadan. Expectedly, the second segment is dedicated for our social diary corner known as People and Events. And this is where we highlight social events of various dimensions and degrees. This segment will be anchored by Mojisola Sholaja. Hello, Mojisola.
Hello, Adewale. People and Events is spicy today, hot and juicy, so don't miss any part of it. I'll be back.
I remain your anchor, Adewale Dosumo, and let's start with this. A life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent doing nothing. And here we go. The Council of State, led by President Muhammadu Buhari on the 14th of April 2022, approved the pardon of 159 convicts, including a former governor of Plateau State, Senator Joshua Dare, and ex-governor Jolly Yame of Taraba State, who are both imprisoned for stealing 1.16 billion naira and 1.6 billion naira. This development has continued to generate mixed reactions from Nigerians, as some believe it is a good step that will further put the nation back in the right direction. Benga Adekoya's report is presented in this package.
Two former governors of both Plateau and Taraba State, Senator Joshua Dare and Jolly Nyame, who were both imprisoned for stealing 1.16 billion naira and 1.6 billion naira, were among the 159 convicts recently pardoned by the National Council of State, an organ of the Nigerian government as stipulated by 3rd Schedule Part 1B of the 1999 Constitution. According to a presidency source, the two former governors were pardoned on health and age grounds. Mr. Nyame, 66, governor of Taraba State from 1999 to 2007, was serving a 12-year jail term at the Kuje prison for misappropriation of funds while he was in office, and the Supreme Court upheld his conviction in February 2020. Mr. Dare, on the other hand, 64, who governed Plateau between 1999 and 2007, was jailed for stealing 1.6 billion naira of public funds during his tenure.
In every system, every government of the world, there is always, an organ within the administrative system of justice that allows president, governors, executives to come out with what we call prerogative of mercy. Which is what they've done, which is called pardon. You have to pardon people. It happened in South Africa. It was such a thing that brought Mandela, made him to go back to become the president of, South Africa. So positively, it's a good one in that directive.
It's not a good example for integrity of the country and integrity of the leadership. However, it is politically done. It's politically done, but it should not be copied as a good example because of the image of the country.
Some respondents explained that the action of the federal government has ridiculed the judiciary, which took several years before convincing the two former governors, and made nonsense of the anti-corruption crusade of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
It could have been Dare or that the counterpart. No. It could have been there. It could have been there. You understand? It must have been some people outside and largely on the executive level. It is not that one Supreme Court thereafter passed another judgment. No, A concluded judgment is a concluded judgment.
I think it's one of the apex level in this country where they decided for those people to be pardoned. So we can just say that it's a lesson for all other office holders, for all other politicians, that they should ensure that they are not involving in corruption. And at the same time, we should let the federal government realize that they should not think that having involved in corruption, having been jailed, they can be pardoned.
President Muhammadu Buhari was, however, commended for pardoning some people who have been in prison for over 30 years, citing an example of some great nations that have also pardoned their citizens who had been unjustly dealt with.
The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AfCFTA, is one of the policies created to enhance ease of doing business in Africa. However, the immediate challenge facing Africa's single market is lack of adequate provision for micro, small and medium enterprises, SMEs. In this special report, Sheyi Alao interviewed experts on how small business owners in Nigeria can benefit from the agreement.
Signed in March 2018, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AfCFTA, is a policy introduced to enhance business transactions in Africa. The AfCFTA commits countries to remove tariffs of 90% of goods, progressively liberalize trade in services, and address a host of other non-tariff barriers. The agreement is aimed at creating a single African market of over 1 billion customers with a total GDP of over $3 trillion, and it is believed that this will make Africa the largest free trade area in the world. However, debate on the impact of the agreement on micro, small, medium enterprises in Nigeria has dominated the media recently.
The AfCFTA gives them an opportunity to source for their raw materials and other inputs from the African continent in a cheaper manner. It also gives them an opportunity to sell their products to the African continent, also by making their products more competitive.
What the AfCFTA has done is to open up Africa to small scale, medium scale enterprises, and I think that's a bigger market than what you have.
While many lauded the impact of the agreement, others say it can cause a big problem for micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria if not checkmated.
For us in the SME sector in Nigeria, our fear is the environment we are operating in. The environment is not stable. It's not pleasant. So the problem now is, how do we make it more stable for Nigerians, so that when others are coming from Ghana, from Cote d'Ivoire, from Egypt, from South Africa to operate in Nigeria, they won't kill our own businesses.
New opportunities bring new challenges that have to be addressed. These have started being addressed, not from now, not today, but from 2 years ago, and will continuously be addressed.
Despite the criticisms leveled against the agreement, the AfCFTA is widely seen as a crucial driver of economic growth in Africa, and business owners have been advised to work within the agreement.
The AfCFTA is an agreement, so the MSMEs must equip themselves with all the articles and the provisions of this agreement, because the agreement sets the rules of the competition, and if you are not aware of the rules, you cannot benefit from the rules.
This part of the sensitization to make the people that are relevant, the MSME practitioners, the actors, the regulators, to be able to sit down together, dialogue, to make sure that we are able to design a roadmap that our MSME are going to follow, to make sure that they key into AfCFTA, they partake, we take the advantage.
Africa is 5 years into the AfCFTA, and it remains to be seen if it will play a game-changing role in Africa's economic diversification. Sheyi Alao, OGTV News.
Ogun State Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abeokuta, has confirmed that the Ogun State Education Revitalization Agenda, OXERA, of Prince Dapo Abiodun-led administration is now yielding desired results as education activities are now going on smoothly and effectively in the state. Professor Aribabu stated this during the annual general meeting of Ijebu-Ode Grammar School Old Boys Association in Ijebu-Ode, pointing out that Oxera is a systematic and structural approach towards ensuring infrastructure development, equipping schools technologically, discouraging indiscipline and examination malpractices among learners.
Changes are coming, and government is working on this. What is going to back it up is the approval and is the launch of what we call the Education Intervention Fund. The state government is launching that. Once the Education Intervention Fund is launched, all our schools will have annual intervention. Also working on technology integration. This is part of the World Bank project of the $250 million that the state is working on.
The commissioner said with regular academic activities in schools all around the state, there has been a reduction in the rate of absenteeism and truancy. The commissioner expressed gratitude to the old students of the school for the ongoing massive rehabilitation around the school compound, especially the ICT center presently under construction, saying the involvement of the Old Students Association in school development cannot be overemphasized. Speaking earlier, the national president of the association, Professor Labo Adekoya, commended the Education Ministry for different measures put in place to promote qualitative and affordable education, especially with the Yellow Revolution, which has provided conducive learning atmosphere for teachers and learners. The success of the educational system anywhere in the world depends greatly on the output of primary schools, as primary education provides the mini-structural framework of which the quality of other levels of education rests on. This was the submission of those who spoke on the fundamental human rights of every child to primary education and its ripple effects on the nation. Margaret Okunola reports.
A recent World Bank research indicates that Nigeria is going through learning poverty, where 70% of 10-year-olds who are in school cannot understand a simple sentence or perform basic numeracy tasks, while 69% of primary school teachers are unqualified to be in classrooms. The bridge in fundamental human rights of basic learning for every child is said to be the reason Nigeria's staggering education crisis, where learning outcomes have become the poorest globally. According to those that spoke with OGTV News, the crisis has become so alarming since education now seems to be for the rich, despite government's efforts at achieving free education for all.
We are not even pushing our best into the teaching profession. So that is a challenge on its own. When you now even come to the structure itself, funding is a challenge. Then finally, regulation.
If the government had done the needful very well at the public school, there may not be need for private schools.
Number 4 of the Sustainable Development Goal is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education that promotes lifelong learning, and all children by age 10 must know how to read and solve numeracy. Universally, primary education is accepted as the foundation-laying level of education in all nations of the world.
The basic elements of science and vocational aptitude, the basic ones, you talk about verbal aptitude and also numerical aptitude. These are the basic things that are taught in the primary level, and these are the basic foundation of education anywhere in the world.
Fumi Adebanjo, a legal practitioner and a mother, is of the opinion that all hands should be on deck to ensure the strong foundation of qualitative education is impacted on the children.
If we can help to inculcate good values in our children, good cultures, good tradition, imbibe them into them, let them emulate it, not only in words, let's inculcate it into them, let them practice it. You'll see that, that is what they would grow up with.
Other concerned parents advocated for the integration of culture into education for the production of a total child.
Culture will go a long way in education, because without culture, we'll not be here today. Everybody needs culture. children are growing up. They need to go. We need to take them back to the basis. Like our time and now, a lot is happening, going on. So the children need to be exposed to their culture, to different cultures.
Putting culture to educational, you just try to, you are trying to retain the culture of the country.
Our children will be able to see that we have diversity of cultures.
They agreed that it is pertinent for all stakeholders to rise to the challenge to invest richly in foundational skills and basic learning for improved education for the betterment of all. Margaret Okunlola, OGTV News.
Barring a last-minute change, the rescheduled sales of expression of interest and nomination forms of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC will now begin nationwide on Tuesday. It was learned that the exercise, which was scheduled to have started last Saturday, was postponed due to some logistics and administrative challenges. A party source who spoke in confidence told newsmen that the new date was arrived at on Friday night in Abuja by the party. The nomination forms for aspirants to the State House of Assembly will be sold in the various states, as the party has decided to send this category of forms to each of the 36 states headquarters of the party. The sales of forms for other positions from the House of Representatives, Senate, governorship and presidency will be carried out in the Abuja headquarters of the party. It was, however, gathered that this category of forms to be sold in Abuja will be at a designated place by the party due to the ongoing renovation of the National Secretariat of the party. As the 2023 general elections draw closer, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Ogun State, has urged the general public, most especially eligible voters who registered during the first and second quarters of the continuous voter registration exercise from June to December 2021, that the permanent voter cards, PVCs, are available for collection at INEC's local government offices. The collection will be from Monday to Friday between the hours of 9 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon daily, with effect from Monday 25th of April 2022. A statement by the INEC's head of Department Voter Education and Publicity, Mrs. Adenike Tadishi, also has it that the continuous voter registration CVR exercise is still ongoing in all the 20 INEC local government offices and designated centers in the state. The statement adds that registrants are to come with the printout slip earlier issued during registration in exchange for the permanent voter cards, PVCs. The statement concludes that the issuance of permanent voter cards is free, while the Commission will not allow collection by proxy. Important dignitaries continue to visit Oyo town in Oyo State on the second day of the demise of the Alaafin Oba Lamidi Adeyemi to pay their last respects and commiserate with the Oyomesi and the immediate family of the king. Bumi Adigun was in Oyo town to capture the moments, and he completes the report. We'll bring you details much more later. President Muhammadu Buhari has described the death of tens of Nigerians on Friday night in the explosion of an illegal refinery in Imo State as catastrophic and a national disaster. He consequently directed the nation's armed forces, security and intelligence agencies to intensify the clampdown on illegal refineries. No fewer than 100 people were killed Friday night at around 8 in the evening after an illegal refinery caught fire at Abaize community in Ohaji Egbema local government area of Imo State. Also, 6 vehicles were raced during the incident, which threw the community into mourning. According to a statement signed by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, Buhari reacted to the incident by saying responsibility for the loss of lives and property must squarely lie with the sponsors of the illegal refinery, who must all be caught and be made to face justice. In the statement titled Imo Refinery Deaths, a National Disaster, the President conveyed the condolences and full depth of range of nation's shock and trauma to the families of the victims, the Ohaji Egbema community, and the government and people of Imo State. It therefore urged community leaders, the police, and the security service to never allow the occurrence of the heartbreaking incident in any part of the country again. And the Ondo State government has said a total of 34 persons died of Lassa fever in the state from January to date. Special advisor to the governor on health, Professor Francis Faduile, made this known in an interview with reporters in Akure. Faduile said the statement recorded 227 confirmed cases in 6 local government areas during the period. According to him, the local governments are Owo, Oshe, Akure South, Akuku Southwest, Akure North, and Ondo West. Faduile said there were 3 confirmed cases among health workers in the state. He explained that the prevalent period of the disease was during the dry season, noting that although there could still be 1 or 2 cases during the raining season. Faduile also explained that the state government was working on the refuse dump site in Owo and said a new dump site would be created while more vehicles will be used to get refuse to the site. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has foiled attempt by Brazil-based drug cartels to smuggle substandard quantities of cocaine or substantial quantities of cocaine into Nigeria through the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, and Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. They were said to have concealed the Class A illicit substance in tea bags. The NDLEA Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, in a statement said at least 4 traffickers involved in the attempt to import and export illicit drugs through the country in the last week are now in the custody of the agency. Babafemi also said that the NDLEA operatives in raids in Kano, Kaduna, Benue, and Akwa Ibom states have seized no less than 88,734 doses of tramadol, pentazocine, and diazepam, and Twinol. In Akwa Ibom State, NDA operatives arrested 2 female drug dealers, Eno Obong Edet, 36, and Hosanna Ezema Upong, 28, with various quantities of Rohypnol, diazepam, tramadol, and cannabis, while a suspected fake security agent was arrested on Saturday, April 23 in Abuja, while moving 23.8 kilograms of cannabis from Lagos to Maiduguri. 6 soldiers were killed and 20 injured in simultaneous attacks targeting 3 armed bases in central Mali Sunday, the army said. Targets in Sevad, Nehano, and Baho were all hit by armed terrorist groups who used suicide vehicles packed with explosives, the Malian army said in a statement. A group linked to the firebrand preacher Amadou Kafar claimed the attacks, according to audio from a source close to the suspected attackers. The group Katiba of Messina belongs to the Group to Support Islam and Muslims, GSIM, an Al-Qaeda-linked alliance and the biggest jihadist network in Sahel. And Emmanuel Macron has beaten far-right candidate Marine Le Pen to win the French presidency projections show. Has taken 58% of the vote to 42% according to French media. Macron, 44, will become the first French president to be re-elected in 20 years. Le Pen, 53, was running for the presidency for a 3rd time. She lost to Macron in 2017. It took 66% of the vote then, and her projected result will be unprecedented gain for the far right. Addressing supporters in Paris, Le Pen says it is still a victory for her party. And Britain said on Sunday it had secured the release of a citizen held since 2017 in Yemen, where he was allegedly tortured. Simon, 30, was detained by Houthi rebels in southwest Yemen, along with his Yemeni wife, on suspicion of espionage, which his family strongly denies. They say his arm was broken during an interrogation in a bid to force a confession, and that his physical and mental health has degenerated during solitary confinement in the capital, Sanaa. His wife was released and has been able to visit him periodically in the prison, and recently voiced concern at his condition, according to Simon's grandfather, Robert Cummins. And at least 6 people were killed and 4 injured during clashes between armed alleged gang members at an indoor football match in Guatemala, police said, in the latest mass violence at sporting events in Latin America. The bloodshed, which occurred in Villa Canales, a town on the southeastern outskirts of the capital, Guatemala City, left 5 people dead at the scene, while a 6th died after being taken by firefighters to a nearby hospital. According to an investigation report, the armed attack could have been caused by rivalry between antagonistic gangs, especially the Barrio 18 and the Mara Salvatrucha, which have a strong presence in Guatemala and other Central African American countries, Mexico and the United States. Witnesses said the attackers arrived in a vehicle and that they included at least 4 individuals with firearms. The report stated the attackers fled after the killings. Violence in Guatemala leaves some 3,500 dead each year, one of the highest rates in Latin America, mainly due to drug trafficking and gang activities, according to authorities. And Iga Swiatek won her 4th consecutive title and extended her winning run to 23 matches by beating Hajna Sabalenka in the Stuttgart Open final. The Polish world number 1 won 6-2 against her 4th-ranked opponent. It means Swiatek adds the clear-cut title to wins in Doha, Indian Wells and Miami to consolidate her positions as favorite for next month's French Open. The 20-year-old who won Roland Garros in 2020 has not lost since the Dubai Tennis Championship in February. And to boxing, Tyson Fury retained his WBC heavyweight crown on Saturday, stopping former sparring partner Dillian Whyte in round 6 of the all-British bout at the Delarious Wembley Stadium. The win for the self-styled JP's King, fighting on UK soil for the first time in 4 years, was witnessed by 94,000 fans. Unbeaten Fury, 33, had said this will be his last fight and announced immediately afterwards. Let's now switch over to the People and Events studio, where Mojisola Sholaja is standing by.